Welcome to Perspectives with Mzu.
Welcome to Perspectives with Mzu. My guest today is Sisanda Henna. Sisanda is a very dynamic persona with multidimensional skills and activities. He has over 15 years as an actor. He is a life coach in the making, just finished his neuro-linguistic programming course. He's a master of ceremonies for corporate events. He facilitates conversations with a core theme as connective leadership. He's in the process of writing his personal journey as an actor, a fascinating journey. Hopefully he will share bits with us. And he's in the middle of a major film production. And we would like to really get into that aspect of his world as a film producer, as a writer, as an actor, and also as someone who wants to empower the next generation of leaders, of actors. So welcome, Sisanda.
Thank you so much. Can I shake your hand? I know we won't hear it, but you to do that. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Maybe we can, the best place to start would be to just tell us about your journey as this multi-dimensional persona in acting, as a speaker, as a public speaker, as facilitator, as film producer. What would you say is your biggest motivation in life in doing all of this? What's your core theme? And then just share with us your journey as an individual.
So thank you so much. And thank you for inviting me for this conversation. The core theme is authentic connection.
Yes. What does that mean?
So the two words, authentic, so there's authenticity and there's connection, right? Yeah. So whether I'm working as an actor, authentic connection. Yeah. As a speaker, authentic connect. As a facilitator, it's authentic connection. Connect. As a coach, that central theme, I see it in all of my work. Even my life as a father, because that's a big part, of my life as well. And that's a theme throughout. Yeah. So even in the speaking arena, right in the beginning, the one thing I was coming up against was this inside of me. I was saying to Marie and the speaking bureau, I do not want to stand in front of a crowd of people and not be authentic. Yeah. I do not want to stand in front of a crowd of people and not connect. So those two things have to happen, right? Yeah. So in that time, it's me connecting with you. It's you connecting with your truth. It's you connecting with your goals, your fears, whatever that is, as we speak. Because for me, authentically, you got to transform at the end of our time together. Yeah. That has to happen. So whether it's a seminar, there's facilitation, or that, for I was always about be authentic about where you are, because only then you can change and get closer to where you want to be.
Yeah, maybe just before we get into the activities that you work on, just to latch on to this theme of authenticity, because you hear it everywhere. Right. You hear it in big organizations, people talking about authentic leadership. You hear it in churches, people talk about authenticity. And you hear it among speakers as well, that one needs to be authentic. So they would encourage others to be authentic, to connect with themselves. If you can break the word down for us, what does it really, really mean beyond the buzz of authenticity? And also, how do you relate it to your own personal life? Because if you are going to engage audiences about authenticity, right, the questions that people would have is, how authentic is your life?
Right. So I like that. So authenticity, I like what you're saying. I mean, the buzz, but it's actually one of the most challenging things out there. Yeah. Because there is no authenticity without vulnerability. Yeah. And that's not an easy place to be in, right? Yeah. And vulnerability, it means you have to unveil or expose that which looks like a weakness. Yeah. Or particularly that, let's just end it there, what looks like a weakness. Because that's when people feel vulnerable, because they feel like, am I safe in this place? Yeah. I could possibly get hurt, right? But actually, without the vulnerability, there is no connection.
Yeah.
Because we can't connect if we can't be vulnerable to one another, and we can't even have intimacy, right? And when people connect, and I've seen it in my line of work, the most beautiful of works that we've seen, where you are moved by an amazing piece of music or art or film or theater. There's some truth to that.
Yeah.
And that's why it moves you, you see, because you've connected to it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, that's like my alcoholic father. Oh my God, that's like me in my first marriage. Oh my God, that's when you see yourself in that character. And then you're moved, you engage, and that's when things connect.
Yeah.
Right? So beyond the buzzword, I say it's vulnerability. Right?
So you'd say
remove the mask and be you and admit to certain things. Yeah. Ironically, when you do, actually, there's a strength in that. But we'll get to that because people are they moved and then they are inspired by you. Yeah. Because they even say it takes a certain takes a certain strength to be that vulnerable, or like it. But I think it's self-awareness, and it's self-acceptance, and it's growth. Like that's authenticity. And the second part of your question was, how does in my own life, right?
How do you practice this or express it?
I had quite an interesting experience about this. So, number one, I was a bit shy of social media. Yeah. Okay, a couple of years ago. And because I kept saying at the time with my ex-wife, I used to say, yeah, but I can't pretend. I want to just be me. Okay, fast forward a couple of years later, I'm not that afraid of it anymore, or rather, maybe I've embraced myself a lot more. Thus, I'm able to put myself out there. Yeah. And it's so because that myself, what is that myself? Is that your true essence of yourself, or is it a persona you create that you want people to perceive, right? And so you look a certain way. So here's a quick example. So then an actress, a friend, tweets, she says, why do we find that actresses, once they get married, they stop working or they don't work as much? Yeah. I think she said in a tweet that they don't do kissing scenes anymore, right? So that was like a big aspect in our work. It's like people watch all these movies, these dramas and things, and they see people in kissing scenes. Yeah. And they may not bat an eyelid or whatever, but there's something about that in the aspect of the lives of the actors themselves. Yeah. So I responded to her tweet. And instinctively, I shot a video because I thought to type it would take too long. Yeah. And in the video, I say to her, look, I frankly was a little insecure. Okay. That my ex at the time, I said she was going to go to the set to act opposite this very good looking, well accomplished American actor. Yeah. Right. And I said, I was afraid that she might like him. Okay. Yeah. The scripts they have to make out, and this is what they have to do. Right. So, actors can be like, it doesn't make. But the fact of the matter is, some of these things cross your mind. Yeah. Yeah. And
just there, I know it's a detour.
But let me land the plane. Sure. Let me land it real quick. Right. So in my own life, I then found, because I was able to be authentic about an insecurity in a public platform, thousands of people watched this video and retweeted it and commented, and they were moved. And they were like, wow, like somebody's speaking the truth, right? And I found now, like, that's the life that I live. Most of my conversations are that. Some people, these are deep conversations, but it's authentic and it's connected. And my life is that. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was going to take a detour, but we'll see how the conversation goes. There's a saying that life is a stage. How people, if you ask someone, what is life to you? Some would say, well, life is a drama. Life is an experience. Life is a game. Life is a stage. And it is as if we are in life aware of role playing on a stage and aware that we are being watched, and the more position or role of responsibility that you have, and especially if you play your life in the public domain. So you're an actor, you're a musician, you're a politician. Whether you like it or not, you're a public figure. And that kind of forces you to role play because you know that you're being watched and people expect you to be strong. They see you wearing a halo. They expect you almost to have super, divine properties about you that you cannot fall or falter, which is why, for example, the media and the tabloids get so curious about the life of so-called celebrities, actors, politicians, etc. How hard has it been for you to engage with this idea of authenticity, both as a human and someone who has had to play out his life on a stage, on a public gallery?
Yeah. So what happens is you start out playing that which you think the people think you should be, or what you want yourself to be.
Yeah.
But then it gets tiring.
Yeah.
And then it's hard for you, just like I don't.
Yeah.
And because, we buried one of the hip hop greats recently.
Yeah, I remember.
And he had committed suicide and people didn't know that he had been suffering from this depression. The point I'm trying to make is there comes a point when in people's lives, people get tired of pretending to be one thing or the other, right? Some people are able to keep it up for a lot longer, but I find the people that are themselves in today's day and age, they connect a lot more with their audience. So like the social media followers in some of the celebrities' lives, the people that are more themselves, I think, are people connect, to that person so much more. So I felt the pressure in the beginning.
Yeah.
A lot, and maybe there is a space to have a private life, even though you're a public figure. And look, it takes effort to keep certain things private. And you've just got to be conscious of that. But you've got one life, man. And
you want to enjoy yourself and be you.
And be you. Because if you're not you, oh my God,
Fascinating points there. And it gets me really, really curious about, the kind of being you become as a public figure, because that life on the outside is really very attractive to a lot of young people.
Yeah.
Because people tend to see the fruit, or the good elements of a career or of an activity. They don't get to see the struggle, the hardship, the emotional weight that goes with that. The fact that possibly some people in the industry, some of these stories are documented, have suffering from depression, possibly mental illness, could be pervasive in the industry. Not that the two are related, but you may also find that in some instances, some cope with drugs. So there's drug in the pushing of drugs in the industry or substance abuse, because people, not because they are recreational in the sense that people see this as the best choice and therefore it's a form of recreation. The way it tends to be projected, but it's part of a desperate need to deal with an internal pain that those on the outside don't get to see. Would that be a reflection of reality in the industry? And I don't think it only happens in the industry, but in any high-pressured environment. You hear stories about the corporate sector, that the higher you go up the corporate sector, the more prone you are to depression, or the more prone you are to doing drugs, or to substance abuse, and so on. Is that a reality or fragment of reality, and how you as an actor, as someone who spent, say, 15 years in that industry, have managed to cope with all of that?
Look, the other thing that's real that people don't really express a lot is even when people go broke,
and
they've got like no money,
right?
It's also a part that we don't see. because
I think it's lucrative. We want to be you.
Yeah. The other day, the other day, I get into a taxi.
Yeah.
In a taxi rank.
Yeah.
The lady looks at me and she says, "No, man, weren't you on that drama on Sunday night on SABC One?" Yeah, it's called MTV. I said, yes, no, I was. But ufunani? Why
are you among us?
Why are you among us? Right?
Yeah.
And I found that so interesting. Because as you're saying, people look up to you, they see you on the cover of magazines or you're on SABC, whatever. But much about one like taxi.
Yeah.
They don't imagine that, actually, you could be here. And for me, it raises almost two questions. Is what meaning are we attaching to somebody getting onto a public transport system? Because one, if I was in New York and you saw me on the subway, where everyone is on the subway, you wouldn't question that, right?
Yeah.
Here, the masses go in taxis, right? Or Patco buses or whatever. And there's that, but there's a reality to that. So at one point, maybe, yes, you made that kind of money. It depends on how you manage the money or didn't manage the money.
Yeah.
Now you might be using that kind of transport system, right? And whether you're happy or in a depressed state, those are all, like, they may be reality. So there's one aspect of maybe people have the illness or whatever, or they're not coping with those things in life.
Yeah.
So one is, I'm supposed to be on Generations and earning so much money, but I haven't worked in 12 months.
Yeah.
Luckily, they're repeating some of my dramas. People think I'm working, but I'm not. And I don't have that money. Now I'm depressed. Not because I have the illness but I'm in that because I'm not coping with the way I see my life.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you say, now you want to escape that. And with, they've said sometimes that people try to use social media as an escape. And like, they'll say, people, you have your Instagram life and then you have your real life. So, I mean, for me in the beginning, when I was much younger and I'd won Best Actor in a drama and I just started and I was making good money, suddenly I was friends with all the stars of like Kaizer Chiefs and Pirates players. I was hanging out with guys who are rappers and musicians. There were a lot of young celebrities that were making good money and famous, and we kind of become a community, right? Some of the people,
is that also because you feel safer in that community? Because all of us, we have a need, by the way, to connect. We have a need to belong.
Yeah.
None of us wants to be judged. We don't want to be judged. We want people who understand where we come from.
Yeah.
And maybe it could be that if you are in a different setting, you make people feel uncomfortable in that setting.
Yeah.
They feel lesser beings because you are there.
Or they're not connecting to you, or they see you as this thing like this lady in the taxi.
Exactly.
Saying,
yeah.
And yet there's a reality like, hey, listen, I lost my car. Okay. And I accept that, and I'm not embarrassed by that, and I've learned my lessons from that. But I'm happy. I'm happy to be in the taxi. I hear conversations I normally never hear. I'm connected to people in a way that, and I get to think whatever, and that's just where I'm at the moment. That's fine, right? It's fine because I accept it.
Yeah.
And the big thing, which I think may have caused depression in some people, was some people gave that thing meaning, and therefore they were not worthy. And therefore they feel bad about the thing because they're connecting that fact to some kind of sense of self-worth.
Yeah. But I mean, sometimes it's just being overwhelmed as human beings because there's so much that we can take. We are vulnerable. And I think all of us, we're blessed with vulnerability, perhaps to remind us of the fact that we are human, and that perhaps we do need to reach for higher powers, which is why some people find solace in prayer. Some people find spirituality. For some people it could be yoga. But I'm just imagining if we were not having vulnerability as human beings, I think we could self-harm more than we do. We would not be able to understand our limits.
That's interesting.
And the need that we have for one another as human community. So
we give each other support.
For some, of course, it might be that we attach too much value on things that we shouldn't be attaching too much value on. For others, it might be, just very well genetic. For others, it might be an event that happens in your life that you've never expected to, and it's just so intense and heavy and with a thin social support. And the point that I was going to make is that some of the challenges that one observes, say, in your industry are not really that unique in your industry.
You're right.
They may just be concentrated there. And also because you are in the public limelight, we tend to see them more. But all of us, you go to every walk of life.
That's right.
Politicians, they're prone to depression. Corporate leaders are prone to depression. School teachers are prone to depression. Clerks are prone to depression. So it's a human thing more than anything else. Now, let's perhaps get to the some aspects of your work. The life as an actor is but just one dimension of your life, and something that has been quite big in your life. And we'll talk in a while about the film that you are currently producing, because I know if we start there, we might take up the entire conversation. Because it's something you're passionate about and intense over. But I'm just wanting to explore some dimensions of your life and how and what this mean to you personally. For an example, you're an MC and you're a dynamic person. You're a stage person. You have a stage presence. You have great smile. You come across authentic. What does it mean to be an MC and a public speaker? Because for some people, they might see paid public speakers. Because you get paid as a public speaker. It might be hard for other people to understand that there are people who get paid to speak. I am a public speaker as well. I do charge a fee for speaking to corporates, for speaking to providing keynote address for corporates. But just from your point of view, what does this mean for you, and how did you become an MC and a public speaker? What has been the journey, and what have you learned from that journey?
Okay, so the question I'm getting is the journey. How did I become?
And what does this mean for you?
What do you mean by what does it mean? I'm not getting the essence of that question.
What inspires you to do this, and what value do you think you are bringing in doing it?
So I'll start with that. Even how, for example, how it began. So when people see you as an actor, even on stage, you start out there, immediately they understand that you have an ability to communicate. That's number one. Then you have an ability to draw an audience, keep their attention, and lead them in a specific way. Because that's what being an MC is, or whether you're a keynote speaker or you're facilitating. You've got to capture the audience. They got to trust you, and then you have to take them somewhere. Right. So how it began in the beginning was people just saw that innate ability because you've been acting and you're on stage. But hey, Stella, can you just do this, that? Then you say, okay, right, guys, listen. And that's how it starts. It's impromptu. I remember a friend of mine had a screening for her film, and people were all in there, and people were going to walk out. And I was like, aren't we going to do a Q&A? And she said, oh, we didn't. And I said, hey, guys, hold on. Please take a seat. The director is here. Some of the actors are here. Don't you guys want to engage about this film? I mean, what an incredible subject matter. Everyone was like, yeah. I said, okay, cool. Grab your glasses, sit down. Director, come down here. Actors, please join me. And that's how it started, impromptu. Because I felt a need to connect with people and then lead them to some specific outcome. And so when there's an event, and that's what emceeing is. And when there's even a conference or whatever it may be, so the people that put the event together know, hey, I've got so many different visual artists coming from across the country, and so we need them to understand this new thing that the government is launching, or this new fund, or understand that we want to equip them in entrepreneurial skills. Mr. Henna, please, man, won't you facilitate this seminar, this workshop, this work, and then whatever that might be. And for me, the most important thing is to understand the objective. Because I'm about to lead a group of people somewhere.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's why, and that's for me is the essence of what it means, or why I do it.
Yeah.
And it actually takes people from A to B, and that B is sometimes better.
Yeah.
It's better even if it's set up by the corporate for their employees, or or whatever it is that the person that's hosting the people or the event, even if just a wedding in itself, right?
Yeah.
It's simple. We're here for a celebration.
Yeah.
And so somebody needs to hold that together and lead it like from A through B to Z in celebrating that thing, because there's maybe key things that we need to do, and that's it. And so it just takes somebody who's able to capture the audience, connect with them, and lead them to a particular way.
Now, when you've done that, when you have played a role, either as a connective facilitator, because you want people to make connections. It could be some of the projection of your work would have themes such as, whether it's management and staff connecting, or cleaners, securities, and managers connecting people to have conversations where there was strife. You want to create platforms where people are able to converse with one another, to
understand each
other, to reach some point of mutual understanding, to bring wholeness in a situation. Now, when you've performed your role as a speaker or as an MC, what kind of imprint do you want to leave in the mind of the audience?
This is a very good one.
What do you want them to remember about you?
Maybe more importantly, I want them to remember about the experience that there must be a sense of satisfaction.
Yeah.
Okay. And a sense of satisfaction for people is when they feel like, oh, that time was worth it.
Yeah.
And that's often when there's been a connection.
Yes.
There's been a connection to a certain vision. There's been, even when people feel understood, right? And then it feels like, oh, that was a good use of my 3 hours.
Yeah.
Or good use of my hour. That is the most important thing for me.
Wonderful.
Then they'll remember, oh, Sisanda was the facilitator.
So you see yourself catalyzing connectiveness and understanding.
Correct.
Wonderful. Now, I want to get into some of the. I mean, we did talk a little bit about your personal life, just life in acting. We didn't get deep into that, and I do want us to talk about a fragment of that life, because when I met you recently, in part to catch up, but also in part to talk about how we could structure this podcast, and we were just having a coffee and catching up. I remember you putting an emphasis on the fact that you, as an individual who has been exploring a path of success, and success not really in material terms, but of self-discovery, of realizing your potentialities, you encountered some major obstacles, and you were able to break through the limits that you were able to say without big qualification and all of that. You were able to break through limits in your life. You were able to climb, to ascend dimensions that were typically not easy to climb. How did you break it into these sectors? Well, if someone listens to this podcast or reads your story and they feel that this is all difficult, it's all impossible, and they ask you a simple question, how did you make it? And I know that they've been ups and downs, and perhaps you're not in the space that you may want to be in, but you've overcome certain obstacles.
That's a good question. So the one phrase is changing beliefs.
Yeah.
It's changing your mindset.
Yeah.
It's changing what you think. That's the start, and for me, the key and the door through which I entered. Okay. And we can pick any, myriad of examples. And in each one of them, this is the thing that enabled me to get in, right? So I mean, it doesn't matter what it is, whether you're an athlete, or you're trying to be a natural scientist, or, you know, or you're a writer or an entertainer, what you believe is the base. It's the key. Okay. And so for me, that had been the key, and the stepping stone is, what do I believe? And so I had to get to a place where I think I have a talent.
Yeah.
And then I had to, just as an actor, let's just say, even just that, I wanted to be an actor. I couldn't get into the drama school only because my parents thought it wasn't a good investment. They wanted to pay for something that they could, you know, make sure that I could have a job, and that means then I would always have a sustained income, right?
Yeah.
So I went on to study IT, but I had a passion to do this thing, right? And so the big question was, do you have what it takes? So that's always the question, right? Yeah. Can you pass the exam? Can you get into that law school? Will you get into that law firm? Do you have what it takes? And the only person who can answer that is you.
Yes.
And to tell you what, whether you say yes or you say no, both are right. Because your subconscious mind will live out whatever answer that you give it.
Yeah.
So if you say to it, actually, I will be awake and I will study and I will get a 90% in the exam, hear the resolution, the resolve in my voice. Guess what? My body, my mind, my everything, my environment finds a way to do that. And I do get it, and I do get my degree, and I do get it into that law firm. So you'll find, you know, you've interviewed a lot of people. When the person has made a decision, and that's it. Yeah. So that was, for me, the journey was to get to a place where I've had to make a decision. Yeah. I spent a few years directing, right? Yeah. So, I mean, I love, a lot of my friends have gone to school and have degrees and whatnot. I learned from them so much. Yeah. But the fact is, I didn't have the privilege, you see? So then I was like, how will I do this? I need to find a way. Yeah. Because I decided I wanted to direct TV, film, and commercials. I said, okay, how? Then I was like, okay, I need a certain skill and I need certain knowledge. Then it was like, but who do I know that can teach me? Guess what? I'm in the industry. I've been acting, right? Yeah. Yeah. So then I started to ask the right people. And that's how I began to do it. Then I get a book. And at night, every night, I'll be there reading this book. My one friend bought me her directing book and I started to read it. Guess how much attention I was paying on set. Yeah. But also I was able to see all of this stuff because I had made a decision. I said, I'm going to be a director. Yeah. And I'm going to be a bloody good director. Yeah. Because I love telling stories. Finishing Clara. Yeah. I don't have the skill. I don't have but here I am there. That was my starting point. Yeah. Then from there, because I've made that decision and then I start asking myself the right questions in terms of how I'll be able to get there. Then I realized, what are the people that I need around me to mentor me, to teach me? What skills do I need to learn? What books do I need? What videos do I need? And that's how I began to learn. And then on set, that's what I was doing. And so now I was there interning. People say, oh, Sisanda, are you acting in this one? No, I'm not acting. I was there as an intern.
To observe.
To learn. And then I asked friends who were directors, please teach me. Wow. Then I applied. And finally, this amazing woman took me on a multicam internship, because shooting multicam, which is a lot of the studio shows that are sitcoms and it's a bit of a different animal because it's mixed. So you use a vision mixer and so on. So that was a bit of a technical 3 months of intense learning on how to do that. Yeah. But I loved story. And I'd gone to a storytelling seminar and workshop, and I studied that for 1.5 years on weekends, you know? Yeah. Every weekend doing that. And I read, one of the story gurus, and getting to the essence and understanding the language people have used to say, this is what makes good stories. Yeah. Because I had that foundation, boom, before you know it, now I'm directing on SAFTA-winning shows, right?
Wonderful.
And then I was a creative director. Now I'm sitting in a boardroom with big executives on these broadcasters and we're saying, oh, this is how we actually want to make this show. We're going to use these actors. We're going to shoot it like this, using these cameras. This is the crew and blah. And then you become a leader. That was a big part of learning how to be a director, was leadership. Yeah. And when I mentor people now, when I mentor young students coming out of university or film school, whatever, one of the big things that the life skills for me, I see that they need to learn is leadership.
Yeah.
And some people, you could be young and have the ability to lead. But the big thing about being a director is that you're leading 60, 70, 100 people to execute one vision.
Yeah.
For 12 hours, they listen to you. What do you want to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the actors, the crew, the people who are building sets, all of that stuff is leadership. And the important things in there was communicating to them. But more than that, trusting your decisions and your instincts.
Wonderful. Mm.
And then even when somebody comes to you and says, yeah, but that doesn't look wow. At some point in the beginning, people used to get offended. Yeah, but I'm the director. Yeah, you can't tell me. Or you could be like, oh, what do you think is wrong with it? Because I learned to then listen to criticism in a different way. I was like, I'm not just leading these 70 people. These 70 people are all creatives. Mm. That's a makeup artist.
Yeah.
That's a lighting technician. That guy is his scenery or his greenery or his props. He has an understanding in himself to contribute something to this picture.
Yeah.
So then I began to ask them questions. What do you think? Yeah. Hey, this is how I see it. Well, what's your contribution? And man, you'll be surprised. The moment those people are given the respect, the contribution they make and what they bring, now you have 70 artists contributing to the picture.
Wonderful.
Not just you. Yeah. And then you get an amazing thing because they know things that you don't know.
Yeah.
You're like, no, in Sotho culture, we don't put the thing like this, we put it like this. I'm close, I would have never known that. Yeah. But I'm shooting this thing. But I rely on the team around, So back to the question is how I then sort of ascended these places was the thinking. And I would have to battle with myself first. Do you want this? How much do you really want this? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then one fundamental thing that changed my life is anything is possible. For any human being, anything is possible. Anything.
Yeah.
And because of that, I've been actually extra ambitious.
Yeah.
Because I come from a village town in the middle of the Eastern Cape, and without having the privilege or whatever, I was like, oh, that's my target.
Yeah.
That's my goal. I want to get there. And then once you've decided, man, you on your way there, people will help you, coach you, ask the right questions, but be determined and work bloody hard.
Awesome. That was really insightful. So it's also a different dimension of leadership, how, one leads highly talented, creative people. I'm sure it's like heading cats because you also deal with big egos.
You're right. It's a big part actually, and I love to coach in this sphere because those big egos can also contribute a lot, and it's just a skill to be able to handle them.
Yeah.
As long as people don't understand that you're not disrespecting them, you honor them, you give them that moment. Okay, Sipho, what do you think? I think the red one there, good. Move on. Sipho feels heard.
Yeah.
He's on your team. He's not going to sabotage, he's not going to hold back. You'll find even after 10 hours, those guys want to go an extra 2 hours for you because they feel like they're part of something.
Yeah. That allows us a sort of a space to segue into your current project. Can you tell us about this film production that you are in the middle of? And just talk about aspects you're comfortable talking about and the making of this project.
Right. So the current working title of the film is Coltan. Coltan. And coltan is a mineral mined in the Congo.
Yes. The Eastern DRC.
Yes. And is used in a lot of cell phones, laptops, etc.
Yeah.
It's a thriller on a political backdrop, but it's an action thriller.
Yeah.
And, our characters, some of them are from South Africa, others are in the Congo, are from there. Yeah, and I won't spoil too much about it. But
don't get into the details.
Yes. Yeah. Look, it's been a number of years working on this project, also because it's an international project on a big budget.
Yeah.
So, the normal South African film would be roughly around 6 million rand. This one is 5 times that amount.
Yeah.
And it's because I decided to make an international genre film.
Yeah.
And so for global export.
Yeah.
So I was not trying to make a small, South African film. I said, look, let's go with this. I want this to become a blockbuster.
Yes.
And that, when you sell out and you make it a huge hit, that's when it's a blockbuster. We will see when that happens. But that's the project. And so recently,
and what's your role in the project?
The project, I am lead creative producer.
Okay.
So many years ago, I optioned a script from an American guy who was living here, who's now back in the US. And I said, let me take this. I think I can raise money for this film.
Yeah.
And the story initially had 2 white lead characters. And I wanted to package, finance, and develop the picture so I can play in it.
Okay.
I decided I wouldn't direct the picture, but that I would act in it, right?
Yeah.
And I said to him, hey, can I make these 2 characters black? I play the lead, I'll raise the money. The guy said, okay, go for it. And that was maybe 7 years ago when that journey started. He's back living in the US. And then I wrote the next draft of the script. He was going to direct the picture at the time. So we went around funding agencies in South Africa, pitching even to corporates and private companies, etc., trying to raise the money.
Yeah.
It's quite an amount of money. And some of the doors wouldn't open. Because, him being white and non-South African, the agencies were like, look, we want to fund black film directors. Okay. So maybe after 2 years of having him on the project, I had to make a call and say, look, man, this is what I'm facing in this country. And not that it's a bad thing. I'm a black filmmaker. No problem. I was just working with him because I was like, okay, this is a great script. We're going to make an international film. Fine. I saw Mandla Dube's movie called Kalushi, and I was so impressed. And I thought, I love the quality of this film. I called him up. I said, let's have that meeting. We met and I said, look, man, here's a script. I think I'd like for you to direct this film. What do you think? I went back to my American colleague and I said, please give us a chance. Can we try maybe either buy you out or offer you something? He says, hey, listen, man, you're in South Africa. You're trying to raise a dollar amount budget on rands. Take it. I've got other projects happening now in the US. Don't worry about this one. If it goes well, give me the right credit. Let's go. And so from then, we went back to other funding agencies and we kept pitching. And, DTI came on board.
Okay.
One of the other broadcasters came on board. And most recently, the National Film and Video Foundation granted us funding as well.
Okay.
Which is a great boost. And it's interesting because, I remember posting saying that it took I applied 5 times on the same project and kept getting rejected. Yeah. And each rejection has to wait at least 4 to 6 months before the next cycle. And it means, the effort it goes in to rewrite a script, to budget it again, to package it, to put together that business plan and then apply. It took so much, but we kept at it. And people were actually quite encouraged to see, oh, wow, even you have been rejected so many times by this funding body. That's interesting. But then they're also encouraged, it means you really want this thing, that you kept going. And finally they said yes. Yeah. So now talking with an American producer who's going to be coming on board on the project and,
as a co-producer?
As a co-producer, yeah.
Okay.
As a co-producer. And looking at some very interesting American stars. There's only 2 in the picture to play in the project. And we got a casting director that side. We had meetings with some of the prominent actors here, and they're excited about it. They love. It's quite a fresh genre that they see. And really, it's not a South African film. It's an international film. And people are excited, but it's been a hard road. Although I'm really passionate about, and I love this story because after the one round, once we had funding because we had some support from KwaZulu-Natal Film Commission as well. After we're done with them, I needed to write the next draft of the script, but there was no money.
Yeah.
So, I had hired a writer before. Now we needed to do all of these changes because we've had workshops with the different stakeholders.
Yeah.
And we knew that we needed to take the script here.
Yeah.
But I've trained as a script developer and a script editor. I can write. I've written for television.
Yeah.
Why don't you write? So I kept making excuses and this and that. Then finally I sat down and maybe in about 30, 35 days, I wrote the new draft of the script, And man, I'm quite proud of that feat,
Wow.
Having sat down and written and gotten it out, and even some of the feedback I'm getting now, it's a strong picture.
Oh, wonderful. And when it's in terms of the timelines, roughly,
look, we must close the finance first, and as soon as that is done, we are going to be out there filming.
Okay.
And that's it. We've got to, close the finance, and that could be just a few months.
Oh, wonderful.
And yeah.
Okay. Well done, and look, all the best.
Thank you.
With that. I hope it comes through.
Yes.
Sounds great. And also, the subject of the film, coltan, has been a controversial mineral, as you correctly said, because it's linked to blood minerals in the Eastern DRC. And it has international dimension because it's an input into high-value products, laptops, cell
massive
phones,
multinationals.
I think aerospace as well.
Wow.
So I look forward to that. Perhaps towards it's the last two questions. One is you've been in the industry for 15 years and across the different dimensions of the value chain in the industry. And one question I do like to ask, especially when I interview other men, is also just to reflect on the place of women in the film industry,
right?
Not just as actors, but also as directors, as producers. In your experience and observation, is the industry conducive for women, or does it give space to women to play leading roles at the high end?
Yeah, that's a good question. And here's a simple answer. We are the industry, right?
Yeah.
Even if whatever industry that you're in, the question is, Mzu, are you okay with the idea that women can lead in your team?
Yeah.
Regardless of what industry you are in.
Yeah.
Because you see, I could be a producer now on this show.
Yeah.
And so is a producer on that show, and that guy's a producer on this show. It's up to that individual.
Yeah.
Do you intrinsically think that women are lesser than? And we've seen a lot of change of late in the industry and different movements and Me Too movement, etc. Time's Up, or women have always been great. Actually, at some aspects of telling stories even better than men. I mentioned to you, my mentor in multicam directing was a woman.
Yeah.
My mentors in screenwriting, and when I studied, my teachers, my mentors, women, right? Yeah. When I started as an actor, the English teacher who was giving the drama lessons at school as an extramural, a woman. Some of the most incredible directors I've worked with, even as an actor, are women. The head writers, especially, even producers. When I was now working as a director, my bosses on two of the shows, a woman, who, like, for example, Portia's a respected showrunner who started different, lots of shows that have made incredible impact. And as a showrunner, which means she's executive producer, she's head writer, and she's kind of the head creative director as well. So I would say that the change has been happening, but I also put the challenge out there to anyone who is in a position of authority. In fact, in any industry, that's male. But why would you doubt the fact that a woman can do it? And I've seen a woman being very productive and efficient. And, sometimes we innately, want to have a line producer that's a woman. Because we know that they've got the thing that it takes to see those huge projects through to the end.
Yeah. And yourself personally, when you get an opportunity, is it one of the first things or the first thing that you would say if you see the team is at the top, all male?
Yeah.
Do you push those boundaries to say, hey, there are a few women who are in charge, who have a voice?
Yeah. Let's do that.
Let's do something about it.
Absolutely. Like, specifically, we'd look now for female line producer of color.
Yeah.
It's important, particularly like even in this project now, myself, Mandla, 2 males.
Yeah.
We have to have a female.
Yeah.
In that senior management team. And also we've learned that there's a thing that women have, man, that help team dynamics work. And it just, there's something that the energy that they bring that brings a certain balance that's needed, that without, the wheels would fall off. No, honestly.
Okay. Just the last question. I'm sure you meet a lot of young men, admirers, people who, just admire the different roles that you've played, your screen presence, and people who want to ask you a lot of questions, young people who ask you questions about how to get into the film industry and what it would take for them to succeed. What do you say to them, both about the glamorous aspects of the industry, but also the rough edges of the industry? What message would you give to a young person listening to this podcast, hoping for some pearls on how to crack it in the sector?
So whether as an actor or writer, director, producer, look, let's start with the realities. You got to find a financial model that works, even once you're in.
Yeah.
Because it's not always going to be just easy flow money.
Yeah.
Unless you've created that thing that it flows for you like that, good, then you must.
Yeah.
But don't be afraid to diversify
and
have other income streams. I mean, I've never been a recording musician, but I can even imagine that a musician in the beginning, when they're not making money out of the thing, they like doing it, but they got money elsewhere. So that's the first thing that I would say, right?
Yeah.
So make sure you've got other income streams so that then it doesn't frustrate your passion and your desire to work in this creative, expressive world.
Yeah.
So that's number one, because otherwise, you get frustrated and then you want to give up. So how to get in? Okay, let's see if I can answer for directors, writers, and even actors. There's certain entry points. As a writer, there's specific entry points. As a director, there's a certain type of entry point and then a trajectory that you would follow, and even as an actor. But let's say you're wanting to direct on television.
Yeah.
Do you want to direct in Johannesburg or in Atlanta, New York, London, Los Angeles, or Cape Town? Be clear on what kind of TV you want to make first.
Yeah.
What kind of film you want to make, right? And it's okay to start somewhere and then end up somewhere else, but just have that clarity. Because if we then say, oh, okay, here are some Ikasi stories or some bioscopes on Mzansi Magic, and there you go, you can start, make those. Those are TV movies. Sure. If you're happy, that's what you want, be clear, then you're going to do that, right? Mm-hmm. And then there'll be a way to have it. How do people get there? So do you want to just be hired to work as a director, or do you want to write your own stuff and then do it? Do you want to produce the stuff that you're doing, right? You find anybody that's doing it already, and then try and work for free. Try and visit
just to learn. Yeah.
Just to learn. Try and visit a set for free. If you want to act, I would say start acting. Shoot skits on your phone with whoever your other acting friends. Be in an acting group or in a drama thing where you guys are doing community theater or whatever it is, right? Get into some drama classes. You find them where you are and where you can start practicing that skill, that thing. I've seen people who put their phone out there, press record, and they then play their monologues, right? But you start to do the thing. Just start to do the thing that you want. Even as a director, shoot the thing on your phone.
Yeah.
Just start. Do that thing, cut it together, see. And then as you are doing that, other opportunities are going to show themselves, to you.
Because the mindset is in that direction.
That I'm doing it. And when you start taking action, you see that the spaces will open up for you. Yeah. When you just start expressing, you've got a phone. You've got your friend, your cousin, your neighbor. Ask them to shoot, or shoot them. If you're a director, shoot them, or write if you want to write. Just write it. Write it you don't even have to have a computer. Right? That's it. You start writing the thing, and then you can ask family and friends to sit around and read your script. There you go. You've written a script. It's there.
Awesome. Sisanda, it's been a wonderful conversation. Rich and insightful, starting from the personal to the core elements of the industry. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much, and all the best with your new baby, Colton. I have no doubt that it will succeed. And looking at the great determination and the positive energy that you have about it. All the best.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Perspectives with Mzu.